Police officers of Reddit, what are some laws that you feel uncomfortable enforcing because you disagree with them? When I was a parking officer, there was an internal policy about not ticketing cars parked in this very wealthy neighborhood even if it was clearly an UNS violation. They would park their trailers or small boats very close to intersections, and that made it dangerous to navigate around there. Because there were too many big wigs, we could have risked our jobs if we ticketed someone there, so they decided to not have the parking officers enforce it. Edit, thanks for my first silver kind stranger. Now I wanna address a couple things. 1. My superiors expressed distaste for this policy when telling us about this, so they felt no pleasure this rule. This has more to do with certain elected officials than the police in this case. 2. I know a lot of people want me to leak this, but I have no substantial evidence to leak something so off the books for a local news source. We were only told this verbally once. Plus confidentiality would be a concern due to the small amount of people that are hired for this job and could likely be easily guessed on via process of elimination. Terrific tickets. I'd pull people over, give a verbal warning about whatever dumb or UNS thing they just did, check for warrants and let them go. I got NNY looks for the ink spot in my work card where the tickets were supposed to go, but since it's illegal to officially or unofficially have a quota system, it could never be used against me in my job evaluation. Ex-police officer here in the US. The two that stand out the most is how much officer discretion is used in each scenario for someone to go to jail. Could be the same person with the same amount of illegal substance. I could destroy the evidence and send them away, or I could take them to jail. Up to the officer. The second would be the ability to ticket each window as illegal tint instead of one just for the car. Arresting homeless people. We usually just bring them in but forget to file paperwork on them, so they get a warm bed, a breakfast, and no record. Back in my Leo career days, I was always very unforte with using dogs to search for S. Yeah, they really can sniff out S. But the false positive accuracy is so far out of whack with what should be a legal standard for reason I suspicion that it's little better than guessing. If a dog hits on 100 cars, and 50% of them have no S in them, you just violated the civil rights of 50 people based on what a dog said. Dogs aren't people, you can't interview or cross-examine them in court. Prior to legalization here in Canada, my city for years had a related arrest rate almost 70% lower than the national average. This is in a college town where students make up 20% of the population, so it's not like there wasn't a lot of it in town. There wasn't any policy or directive regarding issued. It was just a result of all officers personally turning a blind eye to pot unless the citizen was being a jerk. So here is one that bugs me. John leaves the bar okay, gets in the car and starts to drive home. During the drive he realizes that he's drunker than he thought, or his BAC is still ramping up from his last drink. Yes, you can be drunker a half-hour tear leaving a bar. He makes a decision to not drive the rest of the way home and pulls off the road at a rest stop or a parking lot, puts the car in park, turns off the headlights but leaves it running to listen to the radio, run the heat or AC, whatever, moves the seat back and starts sleeping it off a little. Emo at that point he is not driving while intoxicated, he did drive while intoxicated but realized he was impaired and stopped. Maybe a pie if he's obnoxious or was obviously severely impaired. I argued with my instructor about this. The goal is to not have drunks on the road. The drunk got off the road on his own. If we pop those people for DWI, the lesson learned and retold to all of their drunk friends is, if you start to drive drunk, don't stop, keep driving, all the way home. Of course it's ideal if they Uber or have a DD, take a cab or public transport, but I'd rather have people who went a little overboard forte with the idea of getting off the damned road as soon as they realize it than thinking they have to make it all the way home or get a DWI. Then they hit some family car with a baby in the car seat. It's not a specified law as such, but in the UK people can use reason I force to protect themselves, others and property etc. Obviously everyone has their own interpretation of what reason I force is, but I remember going to one job where a Okie was sat on his couch with a beer watching TV when a drunk Okie has just walked straight into his living room via the front door. A confrontation ensued and the drunk trespasser had be aggressive and a fight ensued. Long story short, the trespasser was given a proper shoe-in, so much so he's ended up in the street where he has then called the police. We attended and his injuries were substantial enough that the house occupant was arrested for grievous bodily harm (GBH), and it most definitely rubbed me up the wrong way in being involved in that job because I totally sympathized with the guy and felt any of us would have probably done the same thing if we were in his position. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel to see more similar content. Driving while impaired with resulting grievous injury or death. There's a statute on the books where I works that prohibits any amount of Schedule 1s in your OOD stream while operating a vehicle. Is still illegal here and is still cled as a Schedule 1 by state law. If you are unaware, the byproducts of use can be detected in your OOD weeks tear your high has ped. That means that you could legally smoke in any one of several nearby states where it is completely legal to do so, wait a few weeks, to my whole state, get crashed into while stopped at a red light with the other driver PLETELY at fault, P the field sobriety test with flying colors, then get banged for our version of driving while impaired with resulting grievous injury or death. I didn't actually know the provision of the per se DWI statute when I joined the county-wide crash team as an evaluator. Someone told me a story about a guy they'd done who been completely faultless in an accident wherein 2 people had died and had admitted to smoking a few weeks earlier. That had formed the basis for a search warrant and he was convicted of the felony based on the OOD work. I started advising unimpaired, faultless drivers of the provision. The attorneys told me to stop, so I quit the team. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel to see more similar content. I'm not a police officer. I'm a S agent. I'm unforte with allowing children to stay in homes that don't have water and electricity as long as they have a source of water and a place to bathe. Schools and relatives turn to me and say, "Why aren't you helping?" Because I can't. It's the law. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel to see more similar content. Not a cop but my buddy is. He absolutely hates pulling TRFIC stops and giving tickets unless the person is doing something super reckless. He thinks for the most part they're useless and add to the community's dislike of police. Not to mention they're statistically pretty dangerous for him. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel to see more similar content. My friend is a cop in an area with real gang violence and other issues. Chief got up for the daily briefing and told them they needed to prioritize reducing recycling theft, which was homeless people digging through recycle bins to get CRV items. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel to see more similar content. I'm not a cop anymore, but I rarely arrested for personal use. It's a harmless plant. Selling is a different story, because most of those dealers are supporting a cartel or a hire and I don't agree with that. There was one case, where a bunch of guys in my agency would have arrested in a heartbeat, and honestly, by law I was required to investigate, but didn't. A car drove through the back of someone's house because the driver consed the K and gas pedal. The house that was driven through had a lone plant in another room, which is a felony in my state, and growers get on in my state. I stepped in front of it so the firefighters and others wouldn't notice and raise hell about it. This homeowner was a good old boy, and a church-going father who worked a nice job and contributed greatly to society. I'm not trying to ruin his family's life over a plant. When I walked out of the house and came back in, the plant was missing. He was probating bricks the whole time I stood there. Now that I'm not a cop, I thought about leaving a letter in his mailbox telling him I knew about the plant, but I don't want to make him paranoid lol. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel to see more similar content.